Today we're going to talk about how to find the best recruiter for you. But without further ado, let's get to it. What is up, guys? Ben Allen back again with another video, and like I just said, we're going to be talking about how to find the best recruiter for your needs and your purposes, right? Because there's a variety of recruiters out there. There's some that are fully invested, some that really don't give a shit, and we're going to kind of just cover how to navigate finding the right one that works for you and can help you obtain your end goal of joining the military, whatever branch it might be, right? I primarily focus on the Army stuff, but this can be a broad spectrum and kind of just fall into every branch, really. But before we do that, guys, be sure to like this video, be sure to subscribe because it really helps us out. The more you like it, the more it pushes out to the algorithm and helps this video get views. Be sure to follow my Discord. The link for that is in the description box below. Same as my Instagram. You can follow me at the Ben Allen, right? I'd really appreciate it. But jumping straight into the topic, guys, finding a recruiter it can be a challenge for some people, and for others the perfect recruiter just falls into their lap, right? Like, it's just like a godsend. No problems whatsoever. It's just from start to finish a smooth process, smooth ride, right? But on the other hand, right, say you don't get the best recruiter. Some recruiters can be lazy, some can just view you as a number, right? That if you don't check all the boxes immediately, maybe you might be a little more of a difficult case than somebody who's like fresh out of high school, just no problems whatsoever with the law, no medical stuff. It's just a clean cut, like, straight shot to ship them out. Like that'll be like a recruiter's dream, right? Like, just easiest possible thing they can do. They sign you up, they ship you out. That's another number checked off their quota, and they're good, right? But then there's some recruiters that actually go the extra mile, right? Maybe you have had a medical injury, or you have a medical illness, or some medical history that might be slowing you down, right? Not necessarily holding you back 100%, be an automatic disqualification, but is a little more paperwork, is a little more elbow grease that the recruiter is going to have to put in on their part to get waivers, to get those sent up, approved, whatever it may be, right? Or maybe you had some criminal issues back in the day that have like been like a thing for a while. You're in the process, it got taken care of, but it's on your record type of deal, right? There's recruiters also that will help with that will try to give you the best possible advice and information to go square that away, you know, in a timely manner, so you can ship out, right? If at all possible, depending on what your charges were and things of that nature. But immediately, right, so what you're looking for is when you walk into the recruiting station, right, or maybe you called ahead of time to set up an appointment, you know, kind of check the tone of their voice. Are they invested? Or are they just kind of like, yeah, hey, like, we have a time at this time, blah blah, come in, we'll have a little interview, whatever, and, you know, like, uninterested, like they're just kind of done for the day. Like, that's an immediate red flag right there. If you have one that's like, oh yeah, hey man, come on in, like, we can get this squared away, we can figure out what you need, what you don't need, you know, this, that, and the other, right? Just ask you a bunch of questions and really gauge it off of that whole first interview process. If you like the energy, if they're vibing with you, if they're matching your energy, and they're actually putting in effort, they're asking you questions, right? They're being engaging. That's signs of a good recruiter right off the bat. If they're just like, all right, what are you here for? Like, what do you want to do? Blah blah. Like, you know, and you're answering, and they're just kind of like checking off on a piece of paper or whatever or something, or they just seem genuinely disinterested in what you're having to say, right? Now, when you start listing off things, right, like maybe like, have you ever done drugs? Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever had a medical injury? Have you ever taken prescriptions, right? Like, look for those too. Like, if you tell them, yeah, I was on like ADHD medication for this long or whatever, and they're just like, like, they, you know, they make sighs or whatever, like, you know, that's another red flag. Like, most of the time it's not that big of an issue, right? Like, it's just something extra that they're gonna have to work through or work for. Like, maybe you'll need a waiver for something, right? And if they're real enthusiastic, they're like, hey, like, no worries, like, we're gonna put in a waiver, we're gonna get this settled out, we're gonna do this, that, and the other, right? Like, if they're actively trying to find solutions for whatever problems you may have, like, along the way, that's another good sign of a recruiter. That's somebody you definitely want on your side, right? Another thing is ASVABs, right? If you're taking the ASVAB, and you know, you're trying to get as much practice in or whatever, and they're just like, all right, take this like real quick. They just leave you there, and then you know, you kind of like whatever, you get whatever score on the ASVAB practice test, right? And you have more questions, and they're not genuinely like trying to help you or give you resources. A good recruiter will give you a lot of resources, a lot of reading to take home, a lot of like ASVAB study guides, tips, links, whatever it may be, right, to help improve your score. If you didn't score the best, if you scored great, cool, hey, that's one less thing they have to worry about in general, the good and bad recruiters, right? You just go to MEPS, do the actual ASVAB. It's awesome, right? It's done. It's easy. That's great. That's what people like, right? Another thing to look out for is look out for like how pushy they're being, right? Like say maybe you're like a good smooth case, right? Like no criminal charges, no drug use, no medical history, right? But your main priority is getting a good job, right? Like you want a job that is gonna give you good, you know, civilian career, things like that, and you've done your research, or maybe you haven't done your research. I highly recommend if you're going to even talk to a recruiter, have done your research beforehand, right? Like if you have a job in mind, do all the research you can on that job, right? Because what will happen is if you don't have a good recruiter, chances are they're going to be really pushy. They're going to be like really trying to force some stupid ass job down your throat, right? Like maybe you wanted something like, you know, medical or intel or whatever, but then they start hyping up the infantry. Like infantry's cool, right? They play their part, but at the end of the day, like the skills you're going to get from that as opposed to a medical job or like a intel job or signal job, like it pales in comparison, right? If they're just trying to ship you out as fast as they can, put you in whatever job with no regard for what you want as the applicant, you know, hey, that's another red flag. I would drop them. I'd be like, hey, can I work with somebody else? Can I work with somebody that's going to like work with me? Or you don't even have to tell them, just drop them, go to a different recruiting station, find a different recruiter, you know, one that's actually going to fit you. Like you're not obligated, you're not bound to these recruiters just because you talk to them one time. Like if you don't sign anything, like if you don't go to MEPS and raise your hand and swear in and shit like that, you don't owe them anything. You can leave, quit the process at whatever time and go find yourself somebody that's actually going to meet your needs and put in the work and the due diligence to actually get you the job that you want, to make the enlistment process as smooth as possible, right? So those are just a few things to look out for. Make sure they're not super pushy, and make sure they're actually showing an interest in the jobs and you know, issues that may arise, whether it's medical, criminal, you know, drug use, things like that. Like if they can work with you and they show that they want to work with you, that's good. Like look for somebody like that. Don't waste your time on recruiters that are just in it to check you off the box. Because I get messages all the time like, oh, my recruiter's ghosting me. That's another thing. If they start ghosting you, bro, don't even waste time like trying to get back to them. Like call the office like maybe once, be like, hey, can I speak to so and so? If they don't answer, or if they're like, oh yeah, they're just not here, or they're busy or something, like, you know, if they were serious about putting you in the military, they'd make the time, right? At least that's my point of view. That's my perspective on it. I'm pretty sure recruiters do get busy and they get slammed with work, but at least if they keep active engagement, you know, active communication open, like they shoot you a text, hey, I'm going to be busy, but we can talk and set up a date for this, whatever, awesome, that's great. But if they just straight up ghost you, don't even waste a second thought on them. Just go find a different recruiter, find somebody that's going to actually put in, again, the time and effort, right? Because that's what you're looking for. This is a big step for a lot of you guys, and you do not want to have it ruined by some recruiter that's just trying to rush you in, or just do a half-ass process and just whatever, check you off a box and ship you out so you can just be out of their hair. You know what I mean? I know recruiters out there that'll take months, sometimes over years, of just developing an individual to help them reach their dream of shipping out. And that's who you guys should be looking for, right? I know this video is kind of all over the place. I just kind of like free flow all the time. I just like to get the, you know, the info out there. If I miss something, I go back. If I think of something new, I just say it on the spot, right? But that's what you guys should be looking for. Look for somebody that's going to actually care about you guys and actually put you in there, right? And shout out Team Schwartz. He's another YouTuber on here. He's a recruiter as well. Probably one of the best recruiters I know personally. Hit him up, check out his channel. He's got great content, way better stuff than I have, super in-depth. Probably the best Army military YouTuber on the platform right now. So go show him some love. And, you know, maybe he can also put you in contact with some good recruiters as well. But with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all's time. Be sure to like this video so it pushes out to a larger audience, and subscribe, right? Because we're trying to grow the channel. If you guys have any questions, join my Discord. There's over 300 people in there that can help answer y'all's questions if I can't. Follow me on Instagram if you have a question you want to ask me personally. I try to get back to everybody within about 2 weeks or so. It's at the Ben Allen. It is also linked down in the description box. But yeah, I appreciate y'all's time, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.